All right, here we go. This is Photoshop number 11, except if you're not at school, you'll have to do it on this website, Photopea.com. If you've done assignments on this website before, then you already knew that. But if you're in a first-time, oh gosh, I'm at home situation, this is how we get around not having Photoshop on your Chromebook. Photopea.com, you're looking at it right there, Photopea.com. Pretty similar to Photoshop, but it's online and you can do it on your Chromebook, so it should work. All right, so let me lead you through it here. Today's session is about type layers, about creating type layers and styling them a little bit. Today you're going to have to make one document that has 3 different type layers with 3 different fonts, and you have to style them up a bit. All right, so we're going to start with New Project right here in the middle, New Project. Then over here on the left-hand side, we're just going to pick a size here, and this is coming up with, up here in the very top left, it says New Project 1280 by 720. You know what? That size is just fine with me. It's all good. So I'm just going to rename this where it says New Project. I'm going to call it Type Layers, and I'll put Type Layers Movie Demo, because I'm doing the movie demo, but you could just call it type layers. 1280 by 720 is good. I'll just start with a white background. I'm going to change that here in a minute, and I'll click Create right there. Boom. All right, I might go View and zoom in just a little bit to make that a little bit bigger. You could do that too. It's on the View menu. If you need to, zoom in, zoom out. That's up to you. Okay. Now this layer, I think this looks a little bit nicer if you do something to it. There's a paintbrush over here, and you could paint it with a color, or there is a gradient tool over here. You could put a gradient on it. I might do that real quickly here. Just find a gradient that I feel like I can use for what we're doing today. I don't want anything too fancy. Oh dear, sorry, it's taking me a second here. I don't want that color, but I'll take something like that. I'll click OK, and then on this black box, I'm going to make that kind of grayish, and I'll click OK. And then on my gradient, it's a linear gradient, so I'll just click drag. All right, I'm happy. Blue and gray, good enough. You can do whatever you want on the background. The background is not the critical thing today. All right, next up, here's our type tool right here. So here's how this works. I'm going to click on the type tool, and there's a couple of ways you could do this. I could get some type on there and then worry about changing the font and the size, or I could kind of think about the font and the size before I put it on there. You know, it's a before or after. You could do it either way. But I would take the type tool, and right up here at the top left on Photopea, it's showing me that right now it's on this Deja Vu Sans, and there are several fonts. I could drop that menu and I could look at all these different fonts and decide on what I want, right? And it's up to you. There's a lot of fun fonts on here. I haven't really looked through the fonts a ton. I'm going to pick this Creepster right here. That looks kind of fun. And then the size, you could change the size. You know, one of the things we want to do today is make the text pretty big. So I came up here, I got the type tool, I came up here and I picked Creepster and its size. So let's just even that out. And I've got it at 49 right now, so we'll just say let's make that an even 50. And for the time being, it's black. You know, that would be okay. But that's kind of up to you. You do whatever you feel like you want to do. Maybe I'll go with kind of a deep red. I'll click OK there. So it's Creepster 50 red. So I'm going to come out here with my type tool and click. And it's hard to see on this screen, but there's a cursor there. So I am going to type Excelsior, which is what Stan Lee always said in all the Marvel movies. It means like higher, right? Or it means something of supreme quality. And I'll come up here and I'll hit the check mark. All right. So basically, I have a type layer on there. Now I would like for that type layer to be bigger, right? All I did so far was take the type tool. I picked a font and a size and a color, and I clicked once and I typed it on there. Now I could change the size of it here. I could probably do that here. Or if you wanted to, you could go to Edit and Free Transform, and then grab handles on there, and you can stretch that out kind of however big you want, and then hit the check mark when you're done. So that was edit and free transform, if you would rather do it that way, right? Okay, now one of the things I want you to know is that when you use the type tool, it automatically creates what's called a type layer. So over here on the right hand side, I'm looking at the layer panel and I see my background, and then I also see that there is a type layer and it says Excelsior. You know what? I might, just for kicks and giggles here, if I go click on the type tool, I bet I can change the color of that. I have decided I would rather have that like a white color. I'll click OK there. But that's kind of up to you. I just kind of changed my mind is all. All right, so this it's built, but the other thing I want you to do is add some kind of style or effect to it. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom of the layer panel, and I'm going to go to effects, and I don't care what you add to it, and you could add a variety of things if you wanted to. Let's add a drop shadow to this, shall we? So I'm going to move this around a little bit so we can kind of see, and all right, so we can play with the angle of the drop shadow and all of the things that you would play around with on a drop shadow, right? Distance, spread, size, opacity, noise, contour. You can play around with all of it. I might also, just for kicks and giggles, add a stroke. All right, and up here on the stroke, I might make that stroke black and click OK there. And what if I put on a gradient overlay and I say, don't give me that gradient, give me maybe this gradient. All right, so I don't know if you really like that or not. Maybe I'll switch to that gradient. But you see what I'm getting, right? I'm putting some layer styles on that text, and I want you to do that. I want you to style your text. Style it up, baby. Now, when you're happy and you know it, click OK, and yay, that one's done. All right, so let's look at something else. Let's just kind of go through those steps again. To make another one, I'm going to go make sure I have the type tool and click in a new spot. Click someplace else. And this one, for me, is going to say Nunc, C-O-E-P-I. It's Latin. It means, and now I begin. It's Nunc Cepi. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to come up, you know what? I'll hit that check mark, and then I'm going to come up here and say, well, okay, so one of the things I want you to do is switch up the font, right? Let's not use the same font for all of these. What's destroy look like? It looks like that. And this could happen to you. I changed the font, and now it no longer fits on the document. So I would have to take the size of it way down to make it fit. Or I could do that edit and free transform to make it fit. I'm not sure I love the destroy font there, so I might go just looking real quick for something else. I don't want to spend a long time. This Edo looks like fun. All right, that looks like it was brushed on with a brush, doesn't it? And again, I think I might just go edit and free transform on that and use the handles on that and just stretch that out a little bit. And check mark when I'm done with my transform. And how about a different color? Let's go something kind of orangey, kind of like that. Click OK there. And then I do want some kind of effect on it. What shall we do here? You want to throw a bevel emboss on that? Let's do that. Look at that bevel emboss. That looks pretty sweet. It looks like it's popping up off the page. You could throw on whatever you feel like you want, right? I just for kicks and giggles threw on a little outer glow on that also. And I could play with all of these things, everything on the blend or on the effect. I could play with all the opacity, the noise, the spread, the size, contour, play with it to your heart's content. But this is a demo and I'm trying to get done quick. So I'm going to say okay. And here's one more thing I want to show you. So I've got two type layers done, right? And if you look over here at my layer panel, there's a background and there's a type layer that says Excelsior, and there's a type layer that says Nunc Cepi, which again, translating means now I begin. It's like a starting over kind of slogan. When you screw up and you mess up, you say, okay, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna start fresh. I'm gonna start new, and that's the idea behind that phrase. All right. Anyway, one more time, get the type tool. I'm gonna click here, and this time I'm going to use the name of my classroom, which is Area 1027. Right. I'll hit the check mark there for a second, and I'm going to switch up the fonts. Let's have a different font on every one of these. So I'm going to switch up the font. Let me go find something that I feel like I want something kind of bold. I'm looking at the fonts. I want, I kind of like that. I like that because I do kind of like a modern look on my, the branding for my classroom. All right, and I use a lot of red and yellow and blue, so maybe I'll go just more yellow on this. Right, okay, and I'll click OK there. So I've got this Furore font, and I'm pretty happy with the size of it for right now, and it's yellow. I want to show you another way you could add some style to this if you would like, and this is up to you. You don't have to do it, but remember I said I want some kind of like styling on every one of these layers, so I could go to Effect, and I could throw on an inner shadow or an outer glow or an inner glow or whatever I decided I wanted. But here's another way you can do it. There's a button up here at the top that says Warp. All right. And here it says Style None. And so you can drop that menu down and you can start to kind of look at, okay, what do I think I like here? And I might just arch it a little bit. Now that amount of arch is a lot as far as I'm concerned. So I can slide the bend back down and I'm getting less. And if I wanted to bend it the other way, I could take it past that middle point, get it into negative numbers on the readout there. But I think what I'll do, I'm going to bend it up that way, but not by a ton, right? I don't want to bend it a lot. I just want a little bit of style on that thing. And you could also add some what's called horizontal or vertical distortion, which makes it look like it's going off into the distance, or you could do some vertical distortion, which does this kind of thing. Those, if you don't like that, what you got, those are normally set at 0, and so you can just set them back to 0, and then just kind of have the bend. And there's a lot of different styles there. I did arch, but you could do flag or wave or fish or whatever you decided you wanted to try. And you don't have to warp, all right? Please remember, you don't have to. I'm telling you that you can, but you don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. And I think I am going to add a stroke just because I want to, all right? And and I'm not going to get the red exactly right that I use for my classroom, but it's kind of it's a little past just plain red. It's a little deeper than I should have my hex numbers memorized, shouldn't I? I'm going to click OK there. I might make that size a little bit larger. That's kind of big. On the outside, yes, I think that's where I want that, so I'll click OK. All right, so hey, looky there. This is the assignment, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm going to do auto select right there. 3 type layers, different fonts on each one, and some kind of styling, and make them kind of big. Don't give me text that's little itty bitty tiny that I can't see. Right, we want 3 type layers to say anything you come up with. You can stick your name on there, or the Boston Celtics, or I don't know what you want to say. To come up with something to use for your text, and you're good. And yet, fairly big, different font on every one. Style it up, and then what you would do here to finish this off, you would do save as PSD. Remember, PSD is Photoshop document. That's what it stands for. Save as PSD. That will save on your Google Drive. And then you can get to Google Classroom and get to the assignment for the type layers, and you can turn it in. All righty. Off you go.